Before we begin, we'd like to recognize several distinguished folks who have joined us for the
Welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime. If you are just joining us, you are taking a live look out at Fairfax County, where right now the Virginia Task Force One Urban Search and Rescue Team has returned home from Venezuela, where they were deployed to help with the search and recovery after those devastating and deadly earthquakes down in Venezuela. This little ceremony getting underway right now. We have a photographer out there who is capturing all of these moments. We will keep these live pictures up, and we will have much more from this event coming up on Fox 5 News at 10 and 11 right here on Fox Local.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, though, we do want to keep things moving right along, and we want to take you back to the box office this weekend.
I look forward to changing your opinion.
Much of that territory is unexplored. It's wild, unpredictable, and dangerous.
What are you called?
George Washington.
Whose fort is that?
It's the French. And land claimed by the British Crown.
Demand the French leave.
Who does own this land, if not the one who has the will to tame it?
So that is part of the trailer for the new historical drama, Young Washington. It tells the story of the founding father before he was the father of a nation, when he was just a soldier fighting to survive. It hit theaters last week, just in time for July 4th and America's 250th birthday celebration. And it already has some star-studded support.
Okay, get off your ass and run to the movie theater and go see Young Washington. I just got out of a screening of this movie. I can't believe it. It's so good. It's so good. It's like The Revenant. It's like Pride and Prejudice. It's like Braveheart, all combined. You, of course, know the guy on the corner. You know George Washington. But you don't know Young Washington. You don't know... I'm not a history buff. I knew a little bit about him. But, dude, the story is freaking so cool. The acting is incredible. Whoever plays Young Washington, I don't know his name, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Mark my words. Very soon, everybody in the world will know his name. He's a massive star. He's a really good actor and just so solid in the performance. What a role. What a movie. Director John Irwin. Love what he's doing over at Wonder Project. Go see it, man. Celebrate America's 250th birthday the right way. Get out to the theater and see Young Washington. Young Washington, man. Wow. What a sleeper. What a year for movies, man. Let's go.
That is some Chad Ricardo level of energy.
That
is
definitely
actor Chris
was.
Pratt singing the movie's praises. You heard him mention the story.
Star-Lord says something that's
co-written
big.
by screenwriter Tom Provost. And tonight, Tom joins us live to talk all about it. Tom, thanks so much for joining us tonight here on the Live Zone Primetime, and your patience. We've had a lot of live stuff going on tonight on the Live Zone Primetime, so we appreciate you hanging out.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thrilled to be here.
All right, so first and foremost, I want you to talk to me a little bit about the reaction to the movie. Were you surprised at all when this became a blockbuster right out of the gate? I mean, we're talking like $20 million in its opening weekend.
I mean, we were certainly hoping, and a lot of test screenings that we had the last month before, a lot of people reacted the same way. God bless him, Chris Pratt reacted, so I was hoping so. It's a movie that fires you up. There's a lot of drama, there's heartbreak, there's failure, but it is a movie that ultimately at the end makes you want to stand up and cheer after you cry a little bit. And we are thrilled by the reaction, certainly.
And like thinking about the beginning of this film, what was the whole process to get this film made, the ideation? Like, what was the inspiration to write about this chapter of George Washington's life versus what we hear in the history books of when he's the general and he's leading the whole charge in the Revolution?
The inspiration, the vision is of our director, John Irwin, an amazing visionary, great filmmaker. And, you know, we all look at and think about George Washington as this statue, the guy on the dollar bill, the father of our country.
Right.
But what made him great? And John really wanted to examine his early life so that any of us might go back and see what it was that turned him into such a great man. And in that way, for me, it's very uplifting and edifying. He goes through enormous strife and difficulty. He doesn't even get the girl, which we show in the movie, and yet it makes him a servant leader and a very humble leader, and that's how he becomes who we think of as George Washington.
Wow.
I've got to ask, because you mentioned the director, I saw on Angel's post today him over at Mount Vernon right here in the DMV across the river in Alexandria announcing a sequel already. He said you guys are already at work on one because the response obviously was so big on this one. I'm curious, are you at work on this one as well?
I think that's going to be John himself. He is so passionate, I might even say obsessed, with the story of the founding of our country. And he would like to do a series of movies and even TV episodes about all different aspects of the revolution. And the response to the movie has been so popular that he is now saying, yes, next, 1776. So I would be as excited to see it as anyone.
When writing a film like this that has historical nature to it, you want to make sure it all is cohesive for a story. What does your research process look like, and what are some new things that you found out that you didn't know about George Washington, in the years that we all get American history?
Well, what's fascinating is a lot of times when you're doing a biopic, there are boring parts of someone's life and you have to kind of pump it up.
Right.
When I first started doing the research and you look at this man's life from about the time he's 18 to 22, it is a movie. And my co-writer, Diedrich, and I were like, oh, wait, we don't have to do anything. We just have to tell the story. And so many amazing things happened to him that a lot of people watching the movie, particularly some critics, are like, that didn't happen, but it did. The movie's very historically accurate. We changed a couple of timeline things, of course, for dramatic effect, but everything in the movie actually happened, and he just had such a stunning life.
When it comes to your
young.
When it comes to your, young Washington. When it comes to your when it came to your research, did you get the opportunity? I know you're out in LA, you live and work there. Did you get the opportunity to come visit Mount Vernon or any of the other historical spots that played such a major impact in his life? I know Mount Vernon was later in his life, but.
Well, definitely. In fact, while we were writing it, my writing partner has a big family. I went to Mount Vernon and sat for about 3 days and just took it in. And did a lot of research there, read certainly a lot of biographies and other kind of information. And I just have to throw in, my mother was a professor of the American Revolution. And when I was little, all I wanted to talk about was movies. And it drove her crazy because I would not pay attention to what she wanted to teach me. And my parents died young, but I think she laughs from heaven that all of a sudden I had to be immersed in this world that she loved so much. So.
Found a way to combine those two passions.
That's
I think
fantastic.
that's an amazing thing.
Now, you mentioned that there were many moments along young George Washington's life that set him up to be this founding father, to, of course, be a part of the Declaration and then be the general, right? What are some of those events that you think, as you wrote this film, that really set him up to be that leader and first president?
Well, he was a very ambitious young man, nothing wrong with ambition, but he was also very arrogant and very self-centered. And ironically, all he wanted to be was British. He wanted to, be high up in the British Army and basically be British, and he was not allowed to be. And through a series of debacles, including starting what we call the French and Indian War, he started a global war, and it was a disastrous failure. Through these failures, and one of the themes of the movie is that failure is God's tutor. Through these failures, he learned to get his attention off himself and start serving the people around him. And that continued through his life. He didn't even want to be president, but he accepted it because he believed, as people around him told him, that it would be the best thing for the country. He was, by that time, the one person who wasn't power hungry. The King of England was shocked after 2 terms when George, we call him George, gave up the presidency. He basically started our idea of 2 terms. And the king couldn't believe anyone would give up such power. But that was the change he went through. And so one of the things we're trying to show in the movie is what happened to him to cause that change.
So this is especially interesting. Tony and I just recently talked about the play, the stage play, A General's Prayer, which was on stage here at the Museum of the Bible. And that was focused on a moment in George Washington's life a little later at Valley Forge, kneeling in prayer. This is obviously earlier in his life, but one of the things we talked about then is a little bit about how a lot of what we know about George Washington, whether it's the cherry tree or never telling a lie or the wooden teeth, are kind of all wrapped up in this folklore, folk history. Myths, kind of things that we ascribe to him. with this movie, do you think it will really, help change kind of not just the narrative around some of those fake things, and people could really latch on to the real things in his life?
100%. And that is one of the points of the film, and one of John's desires is that it takes this mythic figure and shows that he's just a guy, a person like any of us. And we really hope a lot of young people go see the movie, because people who are at his age, from 18 to mid-20s, even though that was hundreds of years ago, what he goes through is what all of us go through at that age. Hell, it's what I go through every day, even now as I fail constantly. So it's very uplifting to see someone go through the struggles that you are currently going through, and see them persevere through and come out on top.
And one of the things that was mentioned for this one man play at the Museum of the Bible was George Washington's kind of mental health struggles, his emotional struggles as he was leading, of course, this new army into battle. Were there any moments in his young life where he had some emotional struggles, where he really had to confront himself? He had those vulnerable moments, or did he keep those things inside?
They definitely come out, and we show one in particular in the movie after. Yeah. He starts the French and Indian War, and there is this very famous debacle at Fort Necessity, where he could not have made more wrong decisions and ends up having to wave the white flag and surrender. The only time in his life he surrendered at a battle. And he comes home and quits the military and goes back to, Mount Vernon with his mom, and is devastated. And it's only through a lot of encouragement with the people around him and I would say God's encouragement that he decided to go back and try one more time, and then becomes the man that we knew him to be.
Wow.
Tom, you mentioned perseverance and you mentioned struggle. Did this resonate with you particularly? Because I know your story is a truly LA story of perseverance as well.
I've been in LA quite a bit. Some people would call me, one of those overnight successes that's out there forever, because I've been there since college.
Wow.
I waited tables for 12 years and did everything in LA, taught horseback. We all do different things. It took me a long time to start making a living both in front of and behind the camera. And so stories of perseverance and people who get through are very encouraging to me. And I'm kind of a believer in the phrase of last man standing. I mean, if you stand there and bang your head against the wall long enough, at some time you're going to punch through the wall.
Exactly. And you'll still be standing, as according to Elton John, one of my favorite songs, that I'm still standing. Absolutely love it. Now, just kind of from a more like creative and like writing standpoint, I want to ask you about. So when you write for history like this, what is the overall kind of difference between writing for history and making sure you have the accuracy? Yes, you take some licenses, but writing that way versus having to write for more of a realistic fiction or a fictional type of story. What does that writing process look like? How do you try to bring out the characters in a historical situation when, in this case, they've been dead for hundreds of years?
Fiction is more fun in the sense that you can just do anything, you can make anything up, right?
Yeah.
And you have to bring that into this type of movie a little bit, because when we have, let's say, a scene between George and his mother, we don't know what they said to each other exactly. Right. So we want to learn who they are as a character as well as we can, and then hope that when we create dialogue between the two of them, we are getting it as close to the realism as possible. What's cool about this movie, though, is there are moments in this movie that are shocking. And I keep getting in trouble for giving spoilers away, because there's so much people don't know. But there are moments, some of the best moments in the movie, people were standing there when certain things happened. There is, for instance, a moment between a French soldier and a Native American that is hair-raising, and what they say to each other is exactly what they said to each other.
Wow, the little nuggets of information.
Yeah, and my favorite is there's a scene towards the end of the movie where George comes face-to-face with three men who were very close to him and tried to kill him and couldn't. And the dialogue in that scene, which takes place in our movie On Top of the Hill, is exactly what happened. So the history did help us with a lot of the dialogue, because a lot of it was just there. People said, that's what happened, and we wrote it down.
Exactly. Wow.
Tom, let me ask you a quick question. So I think for some people may look at a movie like this, they may look at the message of a movie like this, they may hear you mentioning God in an interview like this and think that maybe this movie is partisan in some way or right-wing coded in some way, what would be your message to people out there who may have preconceived notions of not just the movie but the story, or whether or not there is a right-wing or a left-wing or a right or wrong political message here?
Yeah, it is not a political movie. We've had people on both sides of the aisle see it and absolutely love it. It's not a religious movie. The thing is that historically, the people who lived with George in his life kept telling him, and this is part of the movie, that a divine hand was guiding him. Mostly because he kept having these near-death experiences where he should have died and he didn't. Also, he got smallpox at one point early in his life, and it almost killed him. But then when smallpox was ravaging the army in the revolution, he was immune, and it kept him being this amazing leader. So any reference to God in this movie is not religious. It's just what happened.
Yeah.
It's very historically accurate. So I do want to emphasize it's not a political film, and it's just a movie. It doesn't have a Titanic budget, but it's a movie like Titanic or Gone with the Wind, in that it's epic and expansive. And most people think it cost about $100 million, and it didn't. But the production team put the money on the screen, and it is just very enjoyable as a movie to watch.
As we face, America 250 and a pinnacle moment in our nation's history, of course, there is a lot of political division and fraughtness, and people don't know how to get involved, to be civically inclined. What can viewers of any ilk, any side of the aisle, really take from this and apply to their own citizenship as they get engaged in the country or their own civic duties at a local level?
I would hope that anyone who sees the movie comes out being proud to be part of the United States of America. And we are a flawed country, and the movie even shows some of our flaws, right? As we were beginning. I mean, we were the United States of America at that point.
Yeah.
But we just hope it's uplifting and edifying. And as John, our director, says, what he would love most of all for him is that the movie makes anybody who watches it go hit the history books and find out even more about the history. And because when we look back and see what happened in the past, both good and bad, it helps us be better as we progress in our future.
And it was really cool to me is, of course, a lot of the incredible actors that were in this movie. Ben Kingsley, for example, Academy Award winners and Emmy Award winners. When you're writing, okay, and then seeing actors take your words and make them a reality, what does that mean for you as a writer? And do you sometimes envision people playing your characters?
It's hard not to envision people, or at least hearing the way dialogue is stated. And
of course,
I've seen actors mangle my words, but to watch these amazing actors say my words, it chokes me up every time I see the movie. And I said it before, Chris Pratt, again, God bless him. William, who plays George, is going to be a huge star. He's fantastic in the movie. Wow. I was really worried before they cast somebody because the movie lives or dies on whoever plays George. I don't care who else is in it. And he is fantastic in the movie. And it doesn't help he's a gorgeous guy. And he stands apart. George Washington stood apart.
Yeah.
And felt kind of isolated his whole life because he was so different physically and mentally. And William really captures that apartness. He's great in the film.
Tom, congratulations on not only the box office success, but all of your success and your hand in this movie as well. If people want to follow you for more, how can they do it?
I have a charity, bagsandgrace.com. They can find me. Also a website, cinemalanguage.org. I'm all over the web. Just do my name. I'm on every social media like we all are. And I just so appreciate you guys having me here. This is a blast.
Of course. We appreciate you joining us. And unfortunately, we have to go from America's successes to America's failures because right now, Team USA is now trailing 4-1 with less than a minute left in our World Cup round of 16 action with Belgium. You see the FIFA fan zone starting to clear out a lot of disappointed Team USA fans out there right
Yeah,
now.
a very
Tony B.
a very sad end.
Yeah,
going down
unfortunately,
4-1.
not
Yep,
the
just for the final. Just for the final.
Not the result that a lot of American fans wanted to see out there.
Nope.
We appreciate all of you joining us right here on Fox Local and on Fox 5 DC's YouTube page for all of the different stories that we've brought you here tonight. All of the fan zone. Listen, the World Cup isn't over. The coverage is absolutely
it's
All
still
right,
in the United
that's
States.
the end. Time has expired. Team USA eliminated. The breaking news right now:
Round of
Team
16.
USA eliminated from the World Cup after falling to Venezuela. Excuse me,
Belgium.
Venezuela. I'm
Belgium.
sorry, I was looking at Virginia
No,
Task Force
you're,
1.
You're good. You're good.
Thank you, sir.
4-1 falling to Belgium tonight, eliminated in the round of 16. And of course, this is the first time since 1930 that the U.S. team has made it to the round of 16. But as we talked to JR at the top of the hour, this may not be viewed as a entire success by the U.S. soccer community. This is a very devastating loss after a dominant run up into this point.
Chad Ricardo and Regina Ureta will have reaction from fans coming up at the top of the hour. Mike Thomas will have the full forecast. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.